British Prime Minister Boris Johnson has vowed to offer millions of Hong Kong residents a pathway to UK citizenship if China imposes a new security law which would clamp down on human rights. The territory was promised a high degree of autonomy and rights under the terms of a 1997 handover treaty from Britain to China in 1997. Hong Kong has been rocked by anti-government protests since last June. More than 8,000 people have been arrested, but hundreds of protesters have fled to evade prosecution. The majority of them have found refuge in Taiwan. And with Beijing pushing for a controversial national security law for Hong Kong, it is likely that more protesters will take the same path. DW's Phoebe Kong sent us this report from Taiwan.
Dining at a Hong Kong-style cafe used to be an everyday event for Tom, not his real name. But now it's luxury for him and many other Hong Kongers living in exile in Taiwan. It's just ordinary milk tea and instant noodles at his Taipei cafe that have become remedies to ease his homesickness.
It reminds me of the days when we used to buy food from cafes like this one during the protests, and we'd finish it during the march. It's a shame that I can't help anymore. The only thing I can do is watch the news on my cell phone.
Last year, Tom took part in many confrontational protests, including storming the Hong Kong legislature and besieging university campuses. He regards himself as a frontline protester. Then he fled to Taiwan in December when police began to investigate him.
I fled because I don't believe that the judiciary will be holding fair trials. For example, one man who stabbed peaceful protesters, he was complimented by the judge for, quote, showing noble qualities. But we don't see similar comments for the first protester who was convicted of rioting just because he was throwing objects. I don't trust the judges because they appear to be biased.
His fear has been intensified by Beijing's plan to enact a national security law for Hong Kong, which has triggered global concern over the city's remaining freedoms. As many as 300 protesters like Tom have fled Hong Kong for Taiwan over the past year. Despite the lack of asylum laws, Taiwanese authorities have supported the protest. They have pledged more measures to help settle people escaping from Hong Kong. This is the first restaurant in Taiwan offering job opportunities to Hong Kong protesters in exile. They hope it could be a sustainable way for them to make their living. And more similar projects such as boutique and online shops are underway as more protesters are expected to come. Tom often plays basketball to keep busy. Today, he's joined by his friend and fellow protester Simon. Simon, who also prefers not to give his real name, left Hong Kong nearly a year ago. He says the chances of returning home are getting slimmer day by day.
Once the national security law is imposed, Hong Kong isn't going to be any different from mainland China. I'm not just worried about my personal safety, I'm also worried about my family in Hong Kong. I'm concerned that they may be intimidated or might even get abducted by Chinese agents. But I don't plan to be in exile forever. I hope that I'll regain my strength one day and be able to take back my home then.
Both of them will start studying in Taiwan later this year. Just like Hong Kong, Tom and Simon face an uncertain future, but at least they are relatively safe for now.
That report from DW's Phoebe Kong, and she is in Hong Kong. She joins us for more in this story. Hi, Phoebe. How welcome are Hong Kongers like Tom in Taiwan?
Actually, Hong Kong protesters and even ordinary citizens, just like Tom, they have won overwhelming support in Taiwan, and Taiwanese in general, they express sympathy to Hong Kong protesters and other Hong Kongers who have undergone 12 months of protests since last June. And we can see that not only ordinary citizens, it also won bipartisan support from different political parties in Taiwan, despite the fact that Taiwan is very politically polarized, but they have reached consensus on this issue that they vow to help Hong Kong protesters. And the Taiwanese authorities also, they are now setting up a special task force to help this kind of Hong Kong protesters who want to flee Hong Kong for Taiwan, and they are going to provide some humanitarian relief despite the absence of political asylum law. So in general, we really see overwhelming support and to the Hong Kong protests in Taiwan.
But as China has moved to crack down on Hong Kong, particularly with this new national security legislation, how worried is Taiwan that Beijing will start to exert more control there as well?
There has been growing anxiety towards China's aggression towards Taiwan, especially when China has been pushing for its unification aim to Taiwan by force if necessary, that according to their words. And so and based on the proximity between Taiwan and China, and there have been growing concerns that Taiwan will be the next target if Hong Kong has been cracked down by China. So apart from Taiwan, some Hong Kongers are also considering to head to other countries in the rest of the world, especially to the West, and particularly the UK, the former colonizer of Hong Kong before 1997, before Hong Kong was handed back to China. So the UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson has just given an open statement saying that he will not walk away from Hong Kong if China insists on imposing the new national security law, that he will extend the period of the BNO passport, which is the British National Overseas Passport for Hong Kongers, that to let them to stay in the UK for 12 months, and that will be a pathway for them to gain the British citizenship. So this can be another option for the Hong Kongers to move in the future.
All right, DW's Phoebe Kong reporting for us there. Thank you so much.